1994-95 University of Montana basketball season came on like a dream and culminated with a ring. A championship ring, that is, as the Grizzlies claimed their third Big Sky Conference crown in the past 5 seasons. After opening last year with a school record 13 consecutive wins, this 94-95 Montana team faced a star-studded home tournament field and the toughest of non-league opponents in preparation for the rigors of a Big Sky Conference race, which featured as much parity as any in recent memory. All teams have their own personality, and this Grizzly group broadcast a message by their early play that they were a focused, balanced, hard-nosed quintet whose off-season work ethic would pay dividends throughout the season. Junior power forward Sean Samuelson and senior center Matt Kempert led the way in the opening win over Simon Fraser. There were only 4 games all year that this all-conference duo would not lead the team either in scoring or rebounding. Next, the University of Washington journeyed to Missoula looking for a measure of revenge. The Grizzlies had bounced back from a late deficit to claim an overtime victory over the Huskies in Seattle the previous year. The Grizzlies again took the measure of the Pac-10 quintet, claiming an 11-point post-Thanksgiving victory. What probably is the toughest Grizzly tournament field ever was next on the agenda, as better than 12,000 fans were entertained by Colgate, Texas Southern, and Mississippi State, a team that defeated national champion Arkansas the previous year. The entire contingent advanced to the postseason, and the Grizzlies opened the weekend behind Helena, Montana junior Chris Spoya's 13 points and 13 rebounds with a 6-point verdict over Texas Southern. The championship game proved to be just an indicator of things to come, as Montana looked to have the Bulldogs of Mississippi State put away both in regulation and in the first overtime, but fell eventually 90-85 in double OT to a Mississippi State team that not only would win their league, but advanced to the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. Missoula freshman guard J.R. Campbell proved a factor with 13 points in 26 minutes, and Darby sophomore Kirk Walker hit a pair of threes and added 11 points. Sean Samuelson and Chris Spoya garnered all tournament honors as the tournament championship game served as but a stone on the walkway, preparing Montana for the rigors of league play. The Grizzlies next picked up the first of 7 road wins with a 10-point victory over St. Mary's. As Chris Spoya contributed 16 points, Sean Samuelson pulled down a dozen caroms. After falling 2 nights later to highly regarded Nevada, the Grizzlies trounced Southern Oregon State with Matt Kempert netting a season-high 23 points. Back home again in the friendly confines of Dahlberg Arena, Montana survived a bizarre overtime win over Central Washington, in a game that saw both teams leave the floor at the end of regulation after a buzzer beater by Central appeared to hand the Cats the upset victory. Reality sat in moments later, and Montana returned to the floor with a vengeance and grabbed an 8-point overtime victory with Jeremy Lake dropping in 23 and Chris Spoya for the second time of the young season picking up 13 rebounds. Against Central, junior center Nate Koval started the first of 6 times during the year, playing 31 minutes and grabbing 6 rebounds. After a loss in the Pyramid to Long Beach State with Los Angeles sophomore Brandon Dade hitting 5 of 8 for a career-best 11 points, Montana bounced back with a win over Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Kirk Walker drained 5 of 6 from 3-point range for a career-best 15 points. True freshman center Bob Olson from Butte, who was activated because of the recurring knee problems experienced by Missoula Hellgate's Ryan Dick, grabbed a career-high 7 rebounds after scoring 6 points against Southern Oregon. Montana next had a New Year's Eve day date with the powerful Oregon Ducks at MacArthur Court in Eugene. Jeremy Lake was torrid with 6 3-pointers and 27 points, while Sean Samuelson matched a career best with 21. Freshman J.R. Campbell rolled through the paint and hit a short jumper to give Montana a 2-point lead with but 7 seconds left in overtime. But the Ducks sent it to the second session and prevailed again in double overtime. With the conference tip-off just 2 weeks away, the Grizzlies again went to double overtime to beat Rice for the 2nd straight year, then disposed of Lewis Clark State with feisty JC transfer point guard Shane Belknap dropping in 15. With a 9-4 non-conference record, Montana hit the road for Flagstaff, Arizona, and Ogden, Utah to open league play. The conference opener was a heartbreaker as the Grizzlies, without Matt Kempert, who was sidelined with back spasms, fell to Northern Arizona University by 1 at the buzzer. But 2 nights later, they rebounded from a 4-point halftime deficit to surprise defending league champion Weber State in Ogden by 5. J.R. Campbell started in the 3-guard alignment with Shane Belknap and Jeremy Lake, while Matt Kempert played off the bench and contributed 12 points and was one of 5 Montana players in double figures. Lake again led the way with 3 3-pointers, an inch closer to the league standard in that category. A week later, Montana posted the first of 3 victories over Montana State as they shut down the Bobcats by 4 before 8,800 screaming faithful in Missoula's Dahlberg Arena. Samuelson registered his second straight 22-point performance as Montana began to make waves in the league race with key wins in the early season over a pair of league contenders. But Boise State had other ideas as the Broncos claimed a road win in Missoula by an 8-point margin, and the Grizzlies fell to 500. The next evening, the Grizzlies were again dominant and overwhelmed Idaho State by 20. Montana had again picked up a victory over a league contender. Nate Koval dominated inside and yanked down a career-best 10 rebounds. With Jeremy Lake needing only 4 3-pointers to establish a league standard, Montana hit the road for back-to-back nights against Idaho and Eastern Washington. After beating Idaho by 5, with Belknap contributing a career-high 18, Montana disposed of a stubborn Eastern quintet to finish the first half of the league with a 5-2 mark. Chris Boyle was 6 of 9 from the field, including a pair of 3-pointers for 19 points, and the Grizzlies headed back home to face Weber State and Northern Arizona. After hitting a pair of 3-pointers against Idaho, Jeremy Lake was shut out against the Eagles of Eastern and came back to Missoula looking to break the 3-point record in front of the home crowd. Break it the Lambert Sr. did, hitting 4 trays, but Weber withstood the challenge and upset Montana by 3. Northern Arizona next on the menu, and Montana again bounced back on Saturday night with a 14-point verdict as Kemper's season-high 25 paced the way, and Samuelson grabbed an amazing 17 rebounds. The road trip of the season was next on the agenda. If Montana was to contend for the league crown, they would have to do it on the road with 3 straight games against contenders Montana State, Boise State, and Idaho State. Shane Belknap, whose hard-nosed play was a staple all season, hit a jumper on the run to give Montana an exciting 2-point win over the Bobcats, and Matt Kempert put on an offensive clinic. He set a league record for field goal proficiency, hitting 14 of 14, scoring 30 points as the Grizzlies next swept past Boise 76-63. It was more of the same against Idaho State as Matt Kempert scored 19, and Montana ran away from the Bengals on their senior night in Pocatello by 17. That victory, coupled with Idaho's upset over Weber State earlier in the afternoon, had the Grizzlies thinking championship as they were tied with Weber in the loss column with 2 games remaining at home against Eastern Washington and Idaho. Matt Kempert was a phenomenal 20 of 23 against Boise State and Idaho State, and with tiebreaker talk dominating the league's phone lines, the Grizzlies focused on just taking care of business. After slipping past Eastern, Montana thumped Idaho by 16 and finished the league at 11-3. Tying Weber State for the league crown, the Grizzlies' 3rd in the last 5 years and head coach Blaine Taylor's 2nd in 4 seasons. With a late rally, Montana next beat Montana State for the 3rd time and headed to the league tournament championship game with a trip to the NCAA tournament awaiting the winner. But the Wildcats of Weber State on their home floor dominated Montana and claimed the automatic berth, leaving the 21-8 Grizzlies waiting for either a rare at-large berth or a call from the prestigious National Invitational Tournament. Montana's 21-8 season was rewarded as the Grizzlies picked up the berth, traveling to El Paso to face Don Haskins Miners. It was Montana's 2nd trip ever to the postseason NIT. The storybook season ended at the hands of UTEP as the Grizzlies were faced with the absence of Kempert, who was injured early in the league championship game. Although Kempert was able to play, the Miners prevailed and the Big Sky's Team of the 90s season was over. With the shared league crown, Montana claimed its 3rd title in the 90s, as well as its 7th league championship. 5 of Montana's opponents advanced to the NCAA tournament. In Montana's last 7 games, Matt Kempert shot a phenomenal 72% from the field and was named to the league's first team along with Jeremy Lake and Sean Samuelson. It marked only the 4th time ever that the Grizzlies had placed a trio of first-teamers on the All-League team. Matt Kempert completed his stellar career 10th on the all-time list in scoring, 9th in rebounding, and received the Carl Dragstedt Award as the team's most valuable player. Jeremy Lake became the Big Sky's all-time leader in 3-pointers with 191, and his 76 trays in the 94-95 season were the 5th most in league history. In shooting 46.7% from outside the 3-point arc, Lake established a team standard, and his 86.2 free throw percentage is also a Montana record. Jeremy Lake's 1,036 points rank him 16th in school history, and with a 3.88 GPA in molecular biology, Lake was named second-team GTE Academic All-American and received a rare NCAA postgraduate scholarship. For the third straight year, Lake was honored by his teammates with the Allen Nielsen Award as the player who best exemplifies Grizzly basketball. Between them, Matt Kempert and Jeremy Lake, in 5 seasons with the program, registered 107 wins and claimed 3 regular season championships. With a year remaining, Sean Samuelson is already 11th in career rebounding. The Broadus Montana product led the team in rebounding, was second to Kempert in scoring, and was voted by his teammates as the top defensive player, receiving the John Earhart Award. Shane Belknap, a junior who, along with Lake, started all 30 games, ranked among the league leaders in assists and steals, was runner-up in League Newcomer of the Year balloting, and received the prestigious Naseby Reinhardt Award as the team's most inspirational player. Chris Spoya, who averaged 11 points and 6 rebounds, returns for his junior season next year, as does Brandon Dade and Kirk Walker. Outside as well, J.R. Camel, the runner-up for the league's Freshman of the Year, returns for his sophomore season. Nate Koval, a senior who averaged a career-best 4.8 points and 4 rebounds, also is back inside, and Butte's Bob Olson, with the added year of experience, gives the Grizzlies interior depth along with Ryan Dick, who looks to rebound from off-season knee surgery. A solid recruiting year, the addition of Kansas City freshman Eric Bowie after a redshirt season, and momentum established by another Big Sky Conference title and a postseason National Invitational Tournament appearance. Montana again figures to challenge for league supremacy next season. Call it tradition, success, winning. At the University of Montana, we call it program. Montana, where championships are a tradition.